I'm gonna stab her, this, that and the other, and he's like proper going on. Yeah, I bet my daughter, saying he's gonna stab her. So, me, I don't care, he's my son, I don't care, I pushed him out. I found the police on him.
So we're back again, A4&B podcast for episode 4. Myself, Daz, 2Zs. To my right we have
Mills.
And our another guest, no, not our guest, sorry, our host,
Ricky, the link.
And we have our 2 guests with us for an episode that I think has been highly anticipated from the feedback we've had, and they can introduce themselves.
My name's Stacey.
My name's Navlette.
And yeah, today we're going to be discussing about the whole... Well, from the last episode, we decided that we're going to bring these guests on to talk about how it is they...
No, it wasn't the last episode.
It's the one before.
It's the one before.
The one before.
Episode 2.
With G-Bo and his son. We decided that we're going to have a discussion with the mothers because I think it was something that needed to be spoken about and hear things from their side. So that's where we'll start the conversation. I want to first pick up on the... Going back to that podcast with G-Bo and D-Bo. And Navlette and the way that she's had to bring up Darrell, and I think it's important for us to kind of get into that a bit first for the first 15 minutes, and then we'll touch on everything else. Is that alright? Yeah. So Navlette, I feel like first of all I want to give you a round of applause. I was going to wait until later, but I want to give you a round of applause because that was your son that came and spoke, and obviously I think it was how he conducted himself and the man that he's turned out to be is really, really good, and that's kind of a shine on you because you're his mother. So,
Thank you.
So he wants to fire up the first question because I've got some, but you know what?
Just go on, just fire the question.
Me fire up the question.
Start the ball rolling.
So obviously, bringing up Darrell as a single mother, yeah, you know how difficult was it? Obviously, we everybody that's watched this previous podcast will know the situation with his father being in prison. But what was it like for you as a mother? Being in that situation, bringing up your child by yourself, and he's a male.
Yeah, well, it wasn't really that hard, but because Darrell's a good child anyway, it wasn't really that hard. It was alright bringing him up.
Yeah.
But it would be better if a father figure was actually there.
Like physically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because my family's all close, they all helped as well. My dad done a big part in being his father role in it, so that's how Darrell got the father role figure from my dad, and plus his dad on the phone to him.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, he speaks highly about his granddad and that relationship, which was good. But he also mentioned that you and him, as mother and son, are like best friends, and that's not always the case when it comes to that relationship. So, like, how important do you think that was? Because being called a best friend, for me, that's kind of what parents want to hear. But then again, I suppose some parents don't want to be their child's best friend. I
think there has to be a level of balance.
Yeah.
I think because that's one of the big problems that, like, with some of the youth, is that parents try and friend their pitney too much to a sense where the level of respect decreases because they're too much like friend. So it's all good having your child to be able to come and speak to you and have a conversation, but certain conversations, shouldn't feel comfortable having with your parents, regardless. So if youth on the road doing badness, he shouldn't be able to go up to his dad and say, "Oh, I made this much money doing this, that, and the other." He shouldn't be able to feel comfortable doing that because his dad shouldn't be condoning it. Yeah. You can't stop it. If it's a certain age, you can't stop it, but you shouldn't condone it. So I think there's got to be a balance between how much of a friend you are to your child. Me personally.
But I think it's good that a child can come to you and tell you what they're going on with.
Yeah, most definitely.
Then you'll have to just tell them that's wrong or that's right.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Do you feel like was there any point of his upbringing where you was kind of like, is it going to turn out the way that I want it to? Like, was you scared for like the outcome at any point?
Yeah, I was scared about the outcome because where his dad was. But because Darrell's not easily influenced. Yeah. That played a big part as well.
Yeah.
How is that the case? How is he not easily influenced? That's where I need to get my head around it. Like, you being there with Darrell.
Yeah.
You said he's a good child. That isn't just an accident. He's a good child for a reason.
Yeah.
What do you think you do? Because you might look at it as second nature, just you just been a mum.
Yeah.
But you've obviously probably done something or had a relationship with him that a lot of mums probably would like to know that to be able to have with their child.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Your relationship with Darrell, was it rare to what other people have?
I don't think it was rare. It's just that the relationship that we've got. Over. We're just close anyway. That's what it is. You just gotta be close and just telling them what's right and what's wrong, I think.
Did you ever have to like cuss him like?
Yeah, but not over big things like that. Just silly little things. It didn't really bring trouble to me at all.
What about basic stuff? You know, like respecting the adults and stuff like that. Is that something that you was really strict with? Like saying, listen, when you talk to big people, you respect them, and did you have to have that conversation with him?
Yeah, sometimes, but he's never disrespected anybody. Darrell hasn't.
You know, because you know how obviously Darrell's the age that he is now.
Yeah.
Now that he's doing what he's doing, do you feel like, do you still get nervous?
Yeah, I do get nervous. Only not for him to be doing bad stuff, just trouble coming towards him. You get what I mean? He could be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But Darrell doesn't hang around with people like that.
Yeah, so Darrell obviously spoke about he changed his social circles.
Yeah.
Does that give you any kind of what's the word? Like reassurance when he's out? Because obviously he's still 19, he's still young. You obviously know what goes out there on the streets, regardless whether you're sometimes in a gang or you're not in a gang. Sometimes you can be in the wrong place at the wrong time. So does it give you reassurance to know that he's changed his social circles and the path that he's on is not the one that people probably thought he was going to be on? Like, does it make you go to sleep a bit better, or do you still think, my son, where is he, what's he doing?
Still, yeah, it does give me the reassurance, but I still get that, I'm worried, is he there, what's he doing, where is he, who is he with? To this day I still phone him all the time, say, where are you, what time are you going home? Watch the roads, only because of how Wolverhampton is now. The roads are dangerous out there.
I think that's that's probably a mother's thing anyway, isn't it? In regards to just constantly, the nurturing. So they'll just pick up the phone regardless and be like, son, where are you? What are you doing? Because I ain't gonna lie, sometimes I'm 32 and sometimes my mum phones me, she's like, hi Darren, just you know mum talks checking in. I'm just like, yeah mum, I'm at work.
It's always the wrong time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always the wrong time.
He's like, Mum, man, sure. That's
yeah. But at the same time,
yo, should not be like that. It was nice to receive the call.
Yeah. But at the same time, I do chop it up with my mum a lot now. Way more than what I used to, and I found myself, and this is what's good for the relationship you have with Darrell, because I suppose the relationship me and my mum is very different to that. But not saying we're not close, but it's very different. So it's kind of like when I think certain things about what I want to ask my mum, I haven't probably asked it from like years ago, when I'm only asking the questions now. Do you get me? Where I feel like, because the relationship you have with your son now, Darrell probably just asked to pick up the phone and say, Mum, what's, because I asked a question to my mum the other day about something to do with my dad, because it was bothering me, do you understand? I never really had the answer, so I had to ask my mum, you get me? And like, I got clarity on the whole thing. I was like, right, why didn't I ask this sooner? Do you get me? Because as a man growing up, sometimes you don't really want to be, there's certain things that you want to take from your parents, there's certain things you don't want to take from your parents, do you understand? And I think unless you have that conversation to find out the whys, the hows, and what was the reason behind it happening, you won't know how to go about things yourself in your own life to make sure you don't do the same path in it. So I think that having that relationship, like Vicky said, it is good to have balance, but I think it's important to have that close relationship with your child so you can always kind of tap in with them and see realistically what you're saying or what's going on with you is really the case, and you'll know that based on your relationship in it.
So your relationship with your mum, was it more like Navlette's with us, or like more friends, or was it more like parents, son, for you to only feel like you could function now?
Quickly, so obviously the relationship I had with my mum, I was very much a mommy's boy, which is crazy because it only took their last birthday when my nan had a party. And I started thinking about memories, got to go on the mic and talk about memories with my mum. I was thinking, hold on, I remember I used to like save up money to go to Argos and buy my mum a clock or go and buy this or go and buy that. And when I'm thinking about it, it was getting me emotional because I'm thinking, where did that all go wrong, do you understand? And obviously, when you go back, you look, you feel like, hold on, okay, it went wrong because I started to look outside my house for the peer pressure and all that kind of stuff. And so from that instant there, my respect shifted from in the house to outside the house. Do you get me? And I feel like me and my mum's relationship kind of it distanced. Do you understand? My mum never treated me different, but I feel like I just went about and I invested my time and my energy into other people. Do you get me? And I think it's gone back to how it was now. Where listen, I don't care where I am. I phone my mum. Mum, guess what? Oh, mum. And my mum's there. My mum will. Do you understand? I can phone mum in the middle of the night. Mum, when my face was looking all swell up, I was on the phone to my mum. Mum, do you think that my face did? And she helped me get me. So me and mum's relationship definitely improved.
What I was gonna say? Just a quick one. So obviously, did you grow up in a house with just your mum?
Majority of it.
What about yourself?
Same.
What about yourself? Did you go up with your mum and dad or just
Just my mum, but then I used to go to my dad's every weekend.
Yeah.
So,
See, now this is where I wanted. What about yourself? Did you?
No, I have my mum and dad there.
Do you know what it is? I grew up with my mum and dad, and when you're having this conversation, I'm thinking madness, because I'm thinking what there was a balance for me.
Yeah.
The things I go to my mum for are complete opposite to what I go to my dad.
Yeah.
And I think my dad gets annoyed, you know, because if I want to have a conversation or I want to speak or tell mum some good news, I'll go to my mum. And I think my dad feels kind of like, yo, how can you not tell me and tell me? But it's I think the mum and her son, or mum and her child, has a completely different bond.
Yeah, definitely.
It's more like wrapped in cotton wool kind of bond. Whereas my dad, it's like if I'm in a sticky place or a sticky situation or if I felt under pressure or certain things, I'll go to my dad. If I want to go to moan, I'll go to my mum. If I want to cuss, I'll go to my mum. If I go to my dad's like it comes with a different approach. So my question is to all of it, well for you three, is where do you find that balance? Do you go to mum for everything, or do you feel certain parts you have to hold back because you don't know how your mum can answer the questions that you've got?
Well, I'll leave you two to answer that first.
I think for me, growing up, my mum was disciplinarian. There wasn't no friends. She always said, "I'm your mum, not your friend." Because if I say I'm your friend, you don't respect me how you should. So it was very regimented. Like all my friends growing up were like, "I'm glad you're mum." I ain't my mum.
I don't reckon like that still when they carry on.
But then I'm kind of glad now because I can see certain things that I probably would have pushed to try and do. She got stamped out. But I think as we've got older, I now can talk to her about anything.
Yeah.
Whereas my dad, I've always been able to talk to about anything because he's always been the more approachable one out of the two.
Did your dad not live at home?
No, I didn't.
Do you think because your dad's not at home that he made himself easier to approach because he didn't want to shut off anything because he was getting at home?
No, I just think my dad, he grew up with the same like strict regimented parents, so he didn't want to be that parent. So I think he was always used to say, if I yell at you, you're not going to listen. Whereas if I talk to you, you're going to listen.
Yeah.
So he was always more empathetic, so to speak.
See, my dad, have you watched that? What's the film called? Not Men's Society. Which one's the one? You got two names. Boys in the Hood. Is it Boys in the Hood? Where
it's definitely the Boys in the Hood.
when the man has to move, he moves out with his mum's house to move into his dad.
Yeah.
That's my dad. That is how I grew. Like that is how I grew with my dad. Like 100%. But what about yourself then? So
my dad's like that. Like he's not quite strict, but he likes everything done properly. He'll explain to me, you can't do this. This is the right way. So with my mum, she just agrees with anything he was.
Yeah.
It's just funny, like
So,
she makes me laugh.
my
My
mum-
dad is just proper strict.
before you go into that, Dad, but do you know what the difference though is when the daughter lives at home with her mother? It's different to when a son lives at home with his mum. And this is where we're gonna see, because you lived with your mum as a boy with other siblings that are boys. You ain't got no sisters, have you? That live there with her.
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
I got my older sister, and that's what I mean. So for me, it's like my mum I think she played both roles pretty well. If I'm honest, I can't say she was one-sided more or whatever. I think she played it pretty balanced, because I remember that I'd be able to go to my mum and talk to her and get that motherly, nurturing side. But then there's times that my mum would just lick me down like she's my dad. Do you understand? And that's not speaking bad of my mum. That was her just trying to play the role as well. And remember, my dad's around, so I'm not saying my dad used to. Do you get me? But if my dad's not around at that time, you remember, we ain't got all WhatsApp and that now. You get me? It's easy. It's harder for mum. It would have been harder for my mum to reach my dad back then for whatever reasons. But when my dad used to come through, it's the same like most dads when they come through. If he's come through and you're bad, you know you're upstairs in the most difficult place to hide, so you know you can't get to him. Obviously, you just get dragged out from wherever you are and you get bust down in it. But for me, my mum kind of played the role pretty well, if I'm honest, because my mum's down to earth in it as well. So it's kind of like she was very open to have certain conversations. Get me? I never once thought, yo, I can't have this conversation with my mum. Can't have this conversation. When I remember, I thought I had testicular cancer. You get me? I had a lump, and I was 12, and I was like, I locked myself in the living room. Didn't want to talk to no one. You get me? And I only let my mum in. And my mum patted up the whole thing. When my 2 teeth got licked out, I was bawling down the phone to my mum. That was at 18. My mum was the one I was bawling down the phone. I didn't phone my dad. Do you understand? It was my mum. My mum was always the go-to. But then don't get it twisted. My dad has taught me different kind of life lessons. Do you get me?
But this is what I'm saying. Just the balance, the life lessons that like a man would naturally give off. Naturally, we're having to think about. I feel that as a mum, but this is where Navlette has to come in. And Stacey, do you feel that there's certain parts that you can't like bring to your child? Because obviously we don't know. We went to do the episode before, we didn't end up doing it.
I wanted to ask that question. What the question you had?
I'm gonna ask you, like, do you think that a woman can raise a boy to be a man? Like, what do you think?
That's no, yeah, and no, really, because a boy always. I reckon. I always think a boy child needs their dad. 100%. Like, that's me. And me being a single parent, raising my son on my own, it was hard. Like you said, it was easy. Jamal was rotten from he was born. Do you know what I mean? So, but it was hard for me. But then my daughter's dad kind of stepped in as well. My daughter's dad played a big role as well in Jamal's upbringing. It was really good. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously I was in a relationship which wasn't good. It was toxic. A lot.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
It's whatever they see then, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How old is he now, if you don't mind me asking?
He's just gone 16.
Okay.
And do you find that there was a certain age point that you struggled as a mum to add to
Yeah.
and what age? I want to say age, but I want you to say it, but I don't want to say I thought that age.
You normally write it down and say, look, this is what I wrote down. I got it right. So anyway.
Come on, say that again.
What age would you say that it was a hit a point where it's like, right, like I need help, or I don't know where to turn to?
When you hit senior school.
So that age you're like 12?
Yeah, 100%.
See,
100%.
Because for those people that don't know, we recorded an episode before, and it was about if a woman can raise a son to be a man. And she says no, she can't. She says that she could to a certain age barrier, but when she reached a certain age, she struggled, and she needed male influence in his life in order for him to be able to prosper as a man, because she didn't know how to deal with it. We wasn't able to release that episode for certain reasons. So obviously, hopefully we can cover a few of them points in today's.
Yeah,
but Navlette said that, but I want to make a point that you said earlier. You said, my father, I mean your dad, had a massive input in your son's life. Now, if your father wasn't there, would the answer still be yeah?
Probably not.
So my point is it a fact of, I'm saying, remember your dad doesn't have to be the male influence, it just has to be positive male influence that steps in. That could be a brother, that could be, so for argument's sake, you said about being your mum, you had big brothers who you looked up to.
Yeah.
If I was to ask your oldest brother the same question, his answer would probably be different because he had to deal with it different. You then will look at your oldest brother as a father figure naturally. Because I did, my dad was there, but I also looked at my big brother for certain things. Because obviously, certain things that I see my brother get respected for, I wanted that same respect. Because I thought that was real respect. But my dad is telling me, no, that's not respect. This is what's real respect. A man that does this, does that, does this, does that. So that's what I lived by. But my dad tried to put me onto, but I didn't live by it because I wanted the excitement. So I followed my big brother, who was doing rubbish, and that's who I followed in his footsteps at an early part of my life. So back to the boy to raise, a woman raising a boy to be a man. I think that is a major problem in the UK. Let's forget Wolverhampton for a minute. In the UK, because there's a lot of broken homes. And when I mean broken homes, as I said, it doesn't mean that you don't have to be with the father of your child. It just needs to have some male influence, because how can a woman, my opinion, how can a woman raise a boy to be a man if she doesn't know what it feels like to be a man?
That is true.
Because being a man ain't like, being a woman, your hormones, your emotions and everything completely different to a man. So I can't say how it's like to be a woman, because I've never had the feelings. When a woman's going through that time and period of the month where they want to be all emotional and serious, like, man will sit down and push her and say, "Yo, fix up, man, like, what's wrong with that? Are you just crying for no reason?" Because we don't have that hormone or that emotion. Do you know what I mean? So it's hard.
It's not that you don't have them, but you've got to remember, like, it's only really now it's changing, but as boys, because at the time you're boys, you taught, don't show emotions, fix up, don't cry. boys don't cry, so you're taught to lock in all that emotion, whereas as females we're taught let it out, it's okay to cry.
Remember what I said the other day though, and we're going to bring it in now because it's nice. I don't know, how do I say white people in like
Caucasian.
Caucasian, like is that how you say it professionally? Huh?
You can say white people.
Well, it depends on how you
PC.
I don't know, because you don't put any YouTube say white, because I say white people a lot,
Yeah.
I don't see nothing. I
Right,
don't
yeah.
know.
Like,
say that.
do you refer to yourself as a white woman, or do you refer to yourself as a Caucasian?
Caucasians really.
Do you know when
rare
do you know white families growing up? Obviously, I can answer from obviously my nan's side of the family is white.
You got what in you?
My mom's mixed.
I'm playing, man. Playing. You know he's got white. I'm playing.
Yeah, my nan and all their sisters are all white. But do you feel, because that's a big point he says, and I made a point on it the other day about men being able to show their emotion. Do you feel that as white people, it's okay for a man to cry? Like, do men show their boys or not to cry, or is it
They
like?
don't show their feelings.
So it doesn't even matter the background of whether you're white or.
No, 100% no. I know that from recent experiences, which I won't go into on camera, but no.
Yeah, and I would agree. I don't think it's a down
It's
to
not a race thing.
It's not a rare race thing. It's just a man thing. It's just men in general.
Yeah,
Do you understand? It's just a
But I just
society.
remember in school, nothing of my white friends that was bad.
Yo,
Like,
yo,
game of football, game of football.
Me and my bridge is bad, but I think when me and my when I used to cry, I used to be like cried and get angry or get
You
angry.
press the space bar.
Or get angry and cry. So for me, like I said, I don't really think that it's a race thing. Definitely not. What I also wanted to add to it as well is there's a lot of pressure on fathers as well, and I think, and we was having a conversation in the car as well about it on the way here. I think as a father sometimes, if you got children, especially if you got children in more than one, with more than one woman, and depending on where you're at in life, your priorities have a massive effect on how you how your relationships work with your children. Do you get me? And I know that I've got some cousins in my family that I've been judgmental up until now in regards to why are they in their children's life, like from birth they've not been in their child's life, and I'm like, are you dumb? Like, how do you even get to that point? But because my life experiences I've had lately, I've tested my character a bit. I understand how if you're on a lost path, you can get so detached, and your relationship with your child can be the least of your worries. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying you've got to be a bit more understanding with certain people's situations. Because for me, when I look at my cousin, like I said, I used to think they're idiots, but now I understand that they had a lot going on for them. So the relationship with their child, as bad as it sounds, subconsciously they're probably thinking, my child's over there with the mum, and I know that they're getting the main things provided for them, so let me just do and it's bad, do you get me? And it's all based on how that relationship is actually built, what it was built on in the first place, do you understand? And all that kind of stuff.
But touching base on that, because that's something when I spoke to Stacey on the phone before inviting her to come on the show. But let's get a bit of background on obviously your scenario first, so like obviously why you're here, basically, and there's going to be a lot of people who are going to listen to this and be like, I can relate.
Yeah.
So just have a conversation with us and then.
So what is the situation with your son?
It all started when he probably got seen in a music video. He was 12 and he got seen in a music video from an area I was known to. Well, not known to, but he always used to go there kind of thing. And yeah, we got seen in a music video, and this is where it all started. Basically went tits up for him from there.
What was it? Can I ask? What was he like before that though? Before that,
he
manageable.
Semi, because like I say, I was in a domestic violence relationship for 6 years.
Yeah.
I think it was 6 or I can't remember.
Yeah.
You know, so I did see a lot. Because like the first year, probably 18 months, the relationship was fine, and then after that, it just went sour. Like I was seeing it a lot. Because he was young then, he was in nursery. Yeah. So he was always at home with mum, whereas my daughter, she was at school. So she didn't see it really. She only probably heard it on the night when she was in bed or whatever. So anyway, so I've seen a lot, and I think that's why as well with him. I'm not blaming just that because the society as well. Like you said, Darrell wasn't in. He's like a duck to water.
So he's literally influenced.
Yeah, a duck to water. So yeah, but And then, like I say, he got seen in that music video, and then it just basically went all tits up from there for him, really.
What kind of trouble has he got himself into?
Been to court probably about 4 times, and he's only 16. The police know him by first name basis. Yeah, literally, like, the policeman knocked my door before in my old address where I used to live, and it wasn't nothing to do with something that happened over the road, and I could see them through the glass, and before I even opened the door I said to him, "What have you done?" I dragged him into the middle of the room and I was like, "What have you done?" He was like, "I haven't done anything." I said, "So why are the police at my door for?" I said, "They're only going to be here for you, not nobody else." He went, "Mum, I promise you I haven't done anything." So he's gone to the door and the policeman's gone to him, "Oh, hello, like, you know, and I was like, "Oh my God." You know, and that was when he was about 13. Like, that's when the police knocked the door. But what kind of trouble Jamal got himself into? Oh, it's long. He's got 3 knife offences, been caught carrying a knife, breaking and entering, and that's all I can think of at the moment. And that, like, his first one was, he basically was with a friend and his friend robbed somebody, hit the boy that got robbed. So what does that come under as?
Was it
But he hit him.
was it ABH?
That's what I put it down to. Yeah, well, I had to pay a fine.
Aggravated? Not aggravated, I don't know.
Yeah, so yeah, like street robbery basically, because that's what the boy did, but yeah. He didn't do anything, but I don't know, I weren't there, like, do you know what I mean? So he got took to court, whatever, and that's when he got his first youth offenders, when he was in 2016.
See,
he was 13.
You know what I was going to get, like, I wanted to say a bit of background about your son first, but G-Bo made a comment on here that was very, like, made me think something, and then when I spoke to you, and I compared the two, because I know obviously your son's dad, and I know his brothers and his background, and comes from a good stock. He's been raised. He's got his family. Yeah. That G-Bo didn't have that. G-Bo's explained about his mum and his dad. So I think naturally, when you lack something, when you have your own child, you automatically want to give more. So even though G-Bo wasn't there, he knew what it's like not to have. Yeah. So I felt G-Bo felt the urge to put more into his son because he doesn't want to make his son feel the way he felt. Whereas doesn't know what it's like to not have parents, so he doesn't understand the value of having parents. So when it comes to being a father to his child, he would push it to a side because he's like, well, he's blessed, like, I'm here, his mum's there, his mum's alright. I don't, because he doesn't know how important it is for a child to have the parents, because he's not experienced it. So I think G-Bo obviously turned a very negative scenario into a positive and used it as a lesson, and told himself he doesn't want his child to go through the same thing. Whereas I think Dad, he hasn't had that, so he has nothing to compare it to. So I think him being here, but being a dad, but not being a father, is a lack of understanding. Rather than, because I know him, he's not a bad person. He's obviously just not seen the importance of how important it is to that age group, especially saying from the start of school in senior school, because I think those are the most important years for a dad to a child, to a son. I think up till the age of 12, it's all about mum nurturing. It's a mum's job to nurture, make sure the foundation's set right, basic principles of manners and respect and stuff like that, which you can have the baddest kid, but you can still have manners and respect.
He's got manners, like, he's not, like, disrespectful, like, if he'd see you and whatever, or you and met you, he's like, he has got manners, but, like, listening to what you said, saying that you took your respect out of the house and took it outside. That's similar. Because sometimes he'll come in and, like, when he's been out with his friends, and I'll be like, "Oh, where you been?" Like, "You know, it's late." Like, "Don't ask me no questions." I'm like, "Can I swear?" I was like, "Who the fuck do you think you're talking to? Like, I'm your mum. Like, I'm not your little crusty friends that are on the street. Like, you talk to me with respect or get the fuck out of my house." Like, and I did. I kicked him out the one day. Like.
The talks flow.
The one day, like, I don't even know what got into this child. This one, he was like someone from Satan. Like, he was like from hell. And there was me, my mum, and my daughter, and we was in my flat. And I don't even know what happened. Like, and he just started kicking off. He took my phone, ran out the flat, and then he come back through the door, and then he ran back out again, and he rang my daughter's phone, going, "Make sure gonna stab her, this, that and the other, and he's like proper going
About his
on.
sister?
Yeah, about my daughter, saying he's gonna stab her. So, me, I don't care, he's my son, I don't care, I pushed him out. I found the police on him, and I said to the police, look, he's running around the streets, he stole my phone out of my house, he's threatening to stab up my daughter, this, that and the other. I said, I'm not having it, like, that is my child. So anyway, his uncle came, like from his dad's side. Like, I rang his dad, I said, look, listen, you're going to have to take him, like, I'm not having him in my house. Like I said, he's a disrespectful little shit. Like, I've done everything for him, like, you know, from the day he's been born, like, and he's 16 now. I've put the clothes on his back, I've fed him, give him a bed, everything, like, do you know what I mean? Like, so I told his dad, like, you need to come and get him. Oh, what's he done? This, that and the other. No, this, and he was saying, oh, why you phoned the, and I was like, what do you mean, why did you phone the police for? I said, he's threatening to stab my daughter. His state of mind right now, and the way how he looks, I said, he's got the devil in his eyes, and I said, if he puts that knife in my daughter, what are you going to do? Are you going to bring back my daughter to me? Like, you know. So anyway, his uncle came, and I just sent wet clothes, because the clothes had been washed, but they wasn't dry. So I just put the clothes all in the bag. I said, take him. And his uncle was like, what's going on? I said, I'll explain that to you. I said, he thinks he's a big man. I said, so he can do it.
Well, and do you get to the bottom of it? Do you think you know why he was behaving like that? Do you know what stemmed it off?
Because he's seen an op on his way in home, and he's come in the house with that mindset, and he's woke up with that mindset.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I always say, like, you always take things out on the ones closest to you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
The quickest
And
figures.
but I didn't. So I didn't chat to him. Like, I just sent the bags. See, I take him. 3 days he lasted at his nan's.
Then he come back.
Yeah, come back. Crying, Mum, please, just let me. No, you got no manners. Like, come out. You're not coming in my house. Like, from the time you can threaten to stab your own sister, you have got no chance of.
Can I ask you a question? It might be, if you don't wanna answer, it's up to you. But your daughter is not to the same dad, is it?
No.
And do you know the relationship that he was in?
Yeah.
Was that with her dad?
No.
But do you know the dad to the daughter?
Yeah.
Have they got a relationship?
Yeah.
Is it a better relationship than him and?
Yeah.
Do you find that there's a bit of jealousy between your son and your daughter?
No, because my daughter's dad never treated. Here had £20, Jamal would have £20. If he had £1,000 spent on her at Christmas, Jamal would have £1,000 spent on him at Christmas. He never treated her not one like him.
I think
different.
It's the company that can.
Yeah, it's definitely. That's what
I really do.
I
he hasn't been brought up wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's had, you know, everything that he needed. Like my family, like his dad.
It's a common story where you will see on the news the person that's been sentenced for whatever the crime they've done, murder, and they've always come from. And then you hear the parents talk. It's more in documentary. They'll be like, my son, I don't know how he's in here, because at home he was such and such. He had manners. And it's just, what happens is you tend to live. It's like you live in a double life. Do you understand? So you step out that door, what your friends know you as and what they know you to be about is completely the difference what your parents do. And a good example of that is it the Blue Story?
I haven't seen that yet.
In Blue Story, it's the same story. How he was in the house to how he was once he left the house was completely. He was out there doing the craziest, keeping up the most fuckery. Yeah, but and then again with Top Boy, the young boy that was trying to look after his mum and that. But this you understand? But then no, let me finish. Sorry. There's a scene in Top Boy where the son, he's got this the same energy that he's brought into the house with his mum, and he just switches on the mum. Do you understand? Because it just gets sometimes, it's the peer pressure thing, and like you said, taking out on those that are closest to you.
You know what? I agree, but I've got to disagree with parts. Everything that you've said, I agree with, but I think it's deeper than the peer pressure. The reason being, I was never really. Now let's not go into me. The reason I'm going to disagree with it is because I think it's deeper. If you watch Top Boy and you watch Blue Story, the frustration wasn't because of the youths on the road. That was just added to the frustration. The frustration was he wanted to play. He felt that home wasn't right. He had to play a role. Mum was losing the house and all that kind of stuff. What I'm saying is, boys, let's face it, we have a role to play as we're growing into men. And society paints a picture that a man has a responsibility. And as a man gets older, little things like him witnessing domestic violence and that. When you're young and you're 8 and 6 and 7, you can't do nothing about it. Soon as you get to a certain age, them remember, them thoughts are still in his head. So how do you know that? And this might sound very personal, and it's not to guilt trip.
I used to blame myself though.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
What I'm telling you,
don't blame yourself.
Stacey,
it's not your fault.
You probably find it's not even. You don't have to blame yourself. He's probably blaming himself. That's how deep it is. Because he probably thinks, as an older youth now, why didn't I stop it? As you get older, you'll think that.
Yeah, of course.
So what I'm saying is, when you think about all these programs that you're mentioning, yes, the friends, there's influence, but it's a lot deeper than that sometimes. The boy, it's like, alright, for argument's sake, you've got some parents like treat their boys like they're their man. Yeah. I don't know what it's like. Do you two ever have tit and tat arguments, like tit for tat arguments?
Yeah, we had one earlier on.
But do you not feel that if you think about it, picture it now.
Yeah.
Just picture the argument you have. You don't have to go into the argument.
Yeah.
Just be honest. If you was to take him out of that picture and put a boyfriend there in that same argument, would it look abnormal? Would it look like the argument you had?
No, I don't know. I don't think so. No.
Because this is my point. Is a lot of mums, because I've seen it. They have. I see the way like certain boys talk to their mum and they have arguments and that, and it's because they're very comfortable and they just forgive it. Like they'll just forgive it after gets brushed underneath the carpet. But a lot of boys are literally, and a lot of mums are treating their son like they're their man. So when they're coming home, I'm the man of the house. So if things ain't set a certain way, the responsibility's on me, and I have to live up to a beat. I can't no longer be a child.
Well, are you saying that's the mum's fault? Or I'm
not saying it's the mum's fault, because as I said, the mum can't raise a boy to be a man.
Yeah.
That's naturally in the man.
Yeah.
But if a man was playing a role as a father, then certain responsibilities that he feels he's trying to take don't have to be on his head. He should be dealt with by his father. So if a man, that's what I was saying about the man's lacking that role, because a man should be taking certain responsibilities out of the equation, so the boy doesn't have to think about them.
Yeah, definitely.
But if the man's not there, then who's picking up the pieces? He has to. He doesn't. No matter what, he could have the most mouth here, but I guarantee he loves you more than the world.
Yeah.
I guarantee he'll do anything he could for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Coming back to mum, everybody goes back to mum.
Do you know what I'm saying?
But it doesn't change the fact that he's a certain way for a reason, and it's not as simple as just because of peer pressure. Because what about the youths then who are leaders in the scenario? Because I was kind of the leader when I was doing my foolishness. I wasn't really the one that was pressured. If anything, I was probably doing the pressuring. If keep it 100, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, but I come from a house where mum and dad was strict and mum was a certain way. Do you know what I mean? So, why was it I got caught up? As I said, there's loads of different situations. We've just got to think, okay, what you said, an age limit of 12 when it started. That is most ages, 100%. Most times.
Yeah, that is.
And that's why we set A, 4 and B to target them age groups.
Definitely.
But your situation, Durrell mentioned it when I watched the episode back, when Durrell mentioned your dad, Jibo was like this the whole time, so he understands it, Durrell and yourself. So that was the male, that was the father, that was the physical father, I should say. Whereas Jibo was more away, so he's doing everything over the phone. You said to me on the phone that you got your brother.
Yeah.
Who else is being that father figure? Who else is...
Not really as such as a father figure, like more so like if I get like, I don't know, something happens and I'm just like, with my brother crying, this and the other, like, he's pissing me off, whatever. My brother was like, okay. But then more so as a father figure would have been my daughter's dad. Like, I can't even explain it, like he's brilliant. He's fantastic. Like, even for my daughter as well. Like, my daughter's an only child. Like, that's his only child. Like, and he's just like, he's had a big input as well.
Yeah.
We grew up. My daughter's dad like stepped down.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. With your son now, what point are you at mentally with him in a sense? Do you feel like? And be honest, obviously you can be honest in regards to like, what are your hopes for him at this moment? Do you think anything can change, and if so, what are the things that would need to be put in place for him to change?
If you could click your fingers, what would you want? If you could mix, not the end result, what would you want for him
right now?
Yeah.
School's a big issue. He's never been in a mainstream school. He started out in year 7. He lasted 2 weeks. from there, he's been to Switch, he's been to Re-Entry, he's been to Braybrook,
all the
he's been
usual services.
Midpoint and you know. But to stay in the house.
So stay in the house. You worried?
Yeah.
You worried? You worried?
I can show you my call log on my phone, from last night. About 23 times I rang his phone yesterday. Are you okay? What are you doing? Da, da, da. Yeah, Mum, I'm fine, man. Stop blowing up my phone, Mum. What are you doing? But the reason I do that, and I'll tell you the reason why I do that, is because I was probably about 13 and I was working in a care home. And just me, but somebody made a phone call to me, close to me, and was crying, screaming down the phone, get out of work, please, you need to come. And I was like, work. She was screaming down the phone at me, like, come out. And I was like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? My son must have Facebook called her, crying. Not crying, but like, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know, he was hiding behind the bank, and there was some, I'm not going to say the areas, but there were some boys from 2 areas that got along with each other. And it was in the high street looking for my son with machetes and gas guns. He was hiding behind the bank. I don't know what happened. He ran from where I don't even know what he had on. He had on his Wall Street. And he ran from football and he'd be on the bank.
So, okay, you're here now, so you wanted to stay in the house, but staying in the house ain't going to fix the situation. It's not going to fix him. It's just going to just...
But then, I know what you're saying, like, and he keeps like telling me, can I get a job? Because he's got his national insurance.
So this is what I'm saying. These are the things. What I'm saying is, what I'm saying. Remember, you know, we forget sometimes, and I think we need to just remind people. The A4MB podcast is just to get an insight of different people's backgrounds and different reasons to why certain things might be going on. But the whole point of A4MB is to get the youths who are coming through engaged with a service that's out there. So if you feel that you need help, you've got to tell us what you want. We ain't gonna be able to give you what you want ourselves, but we know somebody who is, and we know people that want to get involved in setting certain stuff up. So what I'm saying is, keeping him in the house isn't gonna fix him. It's not gonna fix the situation. So we need, like, do you feel like your back's against the wall and you don't know where to turn with him?
Sometimes, Sometimes,
If something bad was to happen today, would you know where to go or who to turn to?
Like, bad to happen to?
Like, he's going to do something bad, or you're worried that he's going to do something bad, like, or you're worried about him to a point where your anxiety's through the roof. And do you know who to turn to?
No, because I can't ring his dad, because basically his dad don't give a shit to me.
So you don't know who to go to, you don't know who can kind of step in and help him. But these are the things that we're trying to put into place. So for argument's sake, A4MB, when we set up the line, which needs to, we're just waiting on certain legalities. We're going to set on certain legalities when it comes to the line scenario. We're going to have a 24-hour phone that's got access for parents and for children who are going through situations to phone and say, look, I need your help getting into this, or I need to speak to somebody, and we'll pinpoint who is the best people for you to speak to. Just so that because at the moment it's like people just turn to the services, like you can't just call the police because not everybody trusts the police. Do you know what I mean?
I don't.
Sometimes they're not helped.
This is it. Now they're not.
Because I'm going to tell you another scenario that happened as well.
But remember, the police's job ain't to keep your child out of trouble. That's not their job. The police's job is to protect the public. That's it. So whether they're doing it, we can all sit here and say they're not doing it because they're doing some things good and some things bad. I don't trust police. That's me personally. But their job isn't to make your child be a good child. Like, even when they go to jail's not to rehabilitate your child. That's self. You've got to do that yourself. It starts at home. So what I'm saying is, like, realistically, your child now is in a predicament. You've come on here to speak about how he is, and we've compared it to Durrell, and Durrell's in a complete opposite situation to your son. What we need to fill the gaps. There's a reason for it. It's not just a potluck that Durrell is a good child. It's not potluck. Work was put in, and things was done correctly in order to get there. We need to work out now, and this isn't something that we're going to talk about now. But this is something you've got to probably go away and talk about and think about. What's missing? Something's missing. Is missing something.
Because
have a conversation with him.
Like everything, like all the positive.
It's not what you give him.
You know, but I don't know what.
I think the most important. That's it. The most important. I think when your child's at the point that your child's at, it's gonna be a case of what. You have to tap into what their role models are, who are their peer influences outside of the house, and then you have to find a likeable character to match that, but ain't on the same shit. So it's basically to keep it simple, it's kind of like a life experience mentor, one that can gel with him. So for example, I can't say for a fact, but I reckon if I sat down with him and I took time out with him based on my experiences and based on what I do now, I could probably have that conversation and keep engaging with him and the same. But I'm saying I can, but I'm saying I'm giving examples, and I'm saying Ricky could probably do the same thing. Because it's all about relatable people he can relate to. There's no point having, no disrespect again, but no point having John from the local services that hasn't got the life experience that can relate to your son. It has to be relatable. Do you understand? And another thing is, unfortunately for the age that your son is, and it's a common occurrence, and Ricky can back me on this, is that your child's at an age now where it's going to be very difficult for him, unless there's heavy support with him, for it to kind of fully reverse. Because what happens normally is that they have to reach that point in their own head. And obviously, like Ricky said, listening to scare you, it's what you said about some people's children are going to end up in jail, some people's children end up dead, some people end up changing their life, and some people had kids and just go and have live a complete different life. That is what happens. That's a fact. Do you understand? But that doesn't take away from what we need to do as a city, as a community, as an individual, because them conversations still can be had and people can still change their way of thinking, and I think that can be the case for your son. But again, it's about having those conversations. If you're not having those conversations and those from the right people that he can relate to, it won't change his way of thinking.
I used to say to him all the time now, like when he used to come in and the area around quite a lot, and this is where his offences happened, in this one set area. And I used to say to him all the time, and I know people down there as well, and they used to say, oh, your boy's over there. I was like, well, if he comes here, run him, like, send him home. Like, I don't want him around here. Like, if you see him, run him and send him home. Like, I don't want him around here. You know, so, but like, I've had like one scenario before. I was doing a night shift at work. Again, my daughter rang me crying. There was about, this ain't no lie either, there was probably about 15 boys outside my house with, again, knives, cars. What could I do? You know what I mean? I was at work. I was like a good half an hour away from home. Do you know what I mean? So you know what I did? I rang the police, but you know how long it took the police to get to my house after I told them? 20 minutes. 20 minutes. And after that, I had a plastic PVC door. You know, them boys could have easily kicked off my door and done what they had to do. Do you know what I mean? And you know what? So you're talking. You've just spoke about a scenario that was me, as in I'm your son. 16 years ago. Well, probably longer than that. Do you get me? I was probably about 12, 11. Me and my younger brothers were in the house, and you know, for whatever mix up my older brothers have had, you know, we've got people coming through the door, and whatever. And I had a conversation with my brother just recently, and I didn't even identify that I must have some kind of ridiculous trauma. You get me? Because obviously when that stuff was happening, I was a kid, I didn't even understand it at that age. But the coming through the door, you know, I used to make sure that when I got to my corner of my street, I lived in a cul-de-sac, as a child, because of all the stuff that happened, I'd have to time it and then run to my door, because I used to always think there's people there or that are gonna come into my house or whatever, when I could never sit in the back room of my house because of how pitch black outside was. That's the trauma that me and my little brothers had to deal with. And the reason why I'm mentioning it now is because your son has probably got a lot of trauma that he doesn't even understand as trauma, and that's why I'm saying the conversations have to happen. And it's best to come from a male, and a male from that kind of, do you understand, that you can be that can say to him, like, I went through it too, this is what I'm telling you, this is what it is. Do you get me?
I think away from this though, you need to reach out from them.
I will definitely reach out. Of course I will 100% reach out. And going back to the situation around fathers in general, I just think it's important to put out there, and I'm not saying this from a person that's perfect, because I'm far from, but what I have identified within myself and just speaking to other parents that are doing well with their children, is that the conversations have to keep having, the communication has to be constantly ongoing in regards to when you're talking to your child. And you have to bear in mind as well the generational gaps as well. So we take things from our parents that we try and implement on our children. Do you get me? And some of them need to be, but some of them are outdated. You have to kind of always be thinking on your toes. So you know when I'm sitting down, when I'm sitting down with my children now, I have to take time to think how am I going to approach them,
Yeah.
because you have to approach them on their level, so it kind
Yeah.
of, when they digest it, it actually sits there and kind of manifests itself.
Yeah.
Do you get me? That's something that I don't feel like fathers do. Fathers, sometimes they think it's just clean cut. When people say being a parent is hard, I'm 32. My daughter's like, my oldest daughter's like 15 in March, and I'm only understanding that now. Do you understand? And obviously for me, I feel like that's important. I think as a parent, mother or father, more so the father when it comes to bringing up a male, you have to have those conversations with your son, and you have to think, yo, I'm going to implement some things onto you, but is it going to fall in line with the kind of person and the kind of understanding that you have? Do you understand? When it comes to your son being taken out of mainstream education, you know, mainstream education ain't for everyone. I didn't last in school.
Yeah.
Do you understand? I have no grades in school. It wasn't for me. But that doesn't mean that I wasn't able to learn and build up my stuff academically. It's just that the way I was being taught it is a way that wasn't best for me.
Yeah.
And that, obviously, that's just a whole different conversation.
I think that's your episode by itself.
Yeah, that's an episode by itself.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, obviously we're gonna have to, I hate these because we're gonna have to wrap up in a bit. But I just think it's important that you don't lose hope. Obviously,
Yeah, no,
I'm not saying the
I do.
conversation's finished, but I'm saying from
No.
my point, you obviously don't lose hope, and obviously there is people out there that want to support you, but don't. It's I don't want to be bad, but the main services that are out there, you see plaster everywhere, are probably not the ones.
Yeah.
It's always the grassroots level ones
Yeah.
that you have to, that the community ones that are kind of the ones that are really doing the work.
Yeah.
Because the bigger a company organisation becomes, the less attention they're going to have on your child as an individual. Do you understand? Because that's just how it falls. So it's always best to deal with, you know, everybody knows back in the day there was eyes. Do you get me?
Yeah.
And obviously it was a place that everyone would go to and whatever. And you know, for me, I wasn't even in that eye scenario, even though my whole family was in that eye scenario. But I seen what it's done for people now that they're all big people. Do you get me? And that's a grassroots organisation, and that's why it's important to tap into them. Do you know what I mean? There's loads to take from it, and it's crazy because, like I says, Navlette Scott Durrell, who had a dad that was at his peak of things, was an offender with crazy offences, and he went away for a long time, and you would expect for Durrell to be the same. Do you understand? And it hasn't. And then here you are, obviously his dad's not been involved in his life that much, but he hasn't come from bad start basically, but he's still caught up in it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, man, I think
it's just, I don't know, like I don't even know what to put it down to, really, to be fair. Like say, like he hasn't come from both sides of the family are not bad people.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I've got a clean CRB.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so
Mine's hella dirty, but
you know,
I got a jab. But yeah, carry on.
yeah. So like, you know, like I don't know.
Don't you think it can be that whole it takes a village to raise a child, or not just one person? Because from what Navlette's saying, you had multiple people that were helping raise your son, whereas it could be wrong, but from what you've said, it was more you and then maybe the partner that you were with at the time that had an influence. So if there were more people involved, like a community, that obviously would have more of a positive.
I've always said that, and I think one thing that you've done that's like very rare, which I think you need to like praise yourself for, is you've accepted. What you've accepted is that my son isn't perfect and he's making mistakes and he's done badness, because you know what, there's a lot of parents out there in denial. My son's not bad. It's not him.
The worst. That's the worst response you could
but I'm seeing it though. It's a fact of the matter. I've seen it, and it's annoying because guess what? Like, I used to say to my mum, enough times. My mum used to be like, sing my praises, and I'm like, Mum, be careful what praises you're singing, you know, because as soon as I make a mistake, people will remember all the praises that you've said and says, you know what. So I say like, and now it's a bit different because I know what path I'm on. But when I was like still young and still doing a bit of good stuff, but also doing bad, you have to be careful. But the fact that you're sitting here and you're saying, like, hands up, like, it's come to a point where I don't even know, like, that's a good thing, because now it's like I always say, if an alcoholic or drug user is an addict, how are they going to change unless they accept they have a problem? They have to accept it. You've accepted that he's in a place where you don't want him to be, you want him to get out of it, and you're kind of stuck. So then that's the community's role now to say, okay, then what can we add? It'd be good though. You might not have no answer, but is there any advice you could give as a mum that's been there? Because obviously Jarrell's older now, your job's kind of done, you can go on other days as much as you want now. But is there anything that you would just give advice, obviously, from his scenario?
Just give your son some time. give him loads of love, show him love.
I do.
Talk to him. Well,
Yeah.
he needs his dad around as well, to
I
be
know.
fair.
That's
what
I
they
think
need.
that is the main.
That is the
issue.
main
I
thing.
think
You know what?
ties-
And we're gonna do something different. We're gonna ask the public.
Yeah.
What advice will you, like, who are watching, give to not just Stacey, but to many other mums who are probably watching this, who are in this scenario? Because I'm a man, I can't advise from a woman's perspective. I
Of
can only
course.
answer from a man's perspective. Same with Dazzy.
Mm.
Leanne, your perspective is going to be a bit different because you haven't got no children yet. But what advice as single mums out there would you give? And is there anything that you've heard that you can relate to, that you've probably got the same kind of scenario that can make you pinpoint, okay, well, I always went through that, or I have the same issue, so maybe that's the problem. Share it, because as I said, Leanne says it about it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
This is the village now, because obviously whatever responses you give back, that's raising. Because we're going to share that information with Stacey.
Yeah.
But as also, like, I want to like say something positive as well.
Yeah.
Like, he hasn't been in trouble with the police, touch wood, since 2017.
Yeah, man. That's big. That's big.
He's changed his social group. He's not hanging around with
With the same area that he
same
was before.
people as he was before. Yeah, he does kind of still hang around, like speak to people from one area. Like, I don't really like him moving with these boys, do you know what I mean? I don't dislike the boys, but I know what they're about, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? So, like, when he tells me he's I'm like, what are you doing there? Da, 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 da. You know what I mean? I don't like him. I'd rather him be where I know that the elders are there and the elders would look out for him if anything was to happen to him.
Yeah.
But touch wood, so far so good. At the moment, he's not hanging around with him as much.
I'm going to put him up when I see him anyway.
You can pull him up on it.
Yeah,
At
we
the end of
chat
the day,
to
you
him,
can
we
tell
chat
him.
to
You can tell him to
Chat-
watch this.
chat-
Do you understand?
I've even like
Yeah, watch this,
at
yeah.
one of his youth offending appointments,
Yeah.
my son's youth offenders appointments, his dad came because I got skated for Wolverhampton for football, and he was doing it, and then he just couldn't be arsed. He just knocked it on the head, and he couldn't be bothered doing it. And I was just like, you've thrown all that away.
Yeah.
You could have been.
Again, we can touch base and we can come back to it anyway. I think it'd be good to, because
We
obviously we can get
definitely
feedback
do.
from the public and so on and so forth. So, you know, thank you for coming on and sharing, both you and Navlette. Also, you know, it's the praise has to go out to those mothers that are trying just as hard as you two. Do you know what I mean? And obviously trying to bring up their children, male and female. And yeah, until next time, we're gonna have to wrap
Just
up.
quickly. I'm not normally we would say like dads step up and make sure you do. I'm not going to say dads. I'm going to say men, because if we're going to really leave it on a it takes a village to raise a youth, then all men step in. When you see a youth going on with foolishness or whatever, have a conversation with them, show them the way. As much as they might be like flipping out, this man's going on, just say it.
Yeah, take time.
Land on him. Just drop something. You don't know
Of
what
course.
gem you're going to land on him. That's going to sink him.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
And it feeds into what we're about, and it always forward, never backwards, and that's what we need to be doing with the young
You
girls.
look smiling when you
I was
say
thinking
that.
the same thing. I think.
So yeah,
But yeah, man.
thanks for watching.
Thanks you to both, well, to everybody for being here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Peace.